Hey guys, so today I'm going to speak to you about 9 financial goals to achieve in your 30s. I'm doing this around this time of year because, first of all, we're all thinking about goals, and there's a very direct correlation between the goals that you have and how much money you end up with in your bank account. But the second reason, it's really tied to this group of people in their 30s. I'm in my 30s, and when I read the media and look at what is said about people in their 30s or in their 20s and so on, the messaging is that this group or this generation is essentially doomed. And when I look around my life, without bragging or anything like that, or I look around the life of people around me, friends and so on, I have people around me who are not doing so badly financially. And there's a key reason for that. A lot of it has to do with what type of actions they've taken in their lives, driven by what type of financial goals they've actually set in their lives. So today I want to share these goals, having spent some time really thinking about it, with a core desire of really helping you ultimately move forward in your financial life. If you found 1 or 2 or 3 of the goals that I'm going to share really useful and ones that you can begin to kind of aim for in your life, then I believe I've had some success for making this particular video. And by the way, as you're watching this video, if you're really enjoying it, I'd really love if you hit that like button, because that really just helps to get our videos promoted more by the algorithm. And if you're new to our channel, if you've been watching for some time, hey, show us some love by hitting the subscribe button, because that just helps us continue to grow and reach so many more people. My name is Ken of the Humble Penny and Financial Joy Academy. What we do on this channel here is to give you guys the tips, the insights, the practical hacks to help you work towards a dream life of financial independence and money joy. Okay, let's dive in. I've got a long list of 9 things to share with you. And by the way, as I'm sharing these things, I'm not going to say to you, this is the exact amount of money you should be saving and stuff like that. I want to just take a zoom out a little bit and just give you almost the key principles or the key ideas or the key goals specifically that I think more generally that you want to really try and focus on if you are somebody in your 30s. This would be, of course, extremely useful if you're in your 20s, and thinking about your 30s, this will be absolutely useful to you. And if you've gone beyond your 30s, this is also going to be useful, but really just take the points on board, and I hope it gives you something to really reflect on and really aim for. All right, let's dive in now. Okay, so the first one's to marry the right partner. Now, I'm going to hear a lot of you going, Ken, you expect me to be married in my 30s? Come on. Okay, I know. Not everybody's going to get married, but surely, at some point you might have a long-term partner. The thing I wanted to just mention to you is that somebody coming into your life might be quite stable right now, but somebody coming into your life does one of 2 things. One, and I mean financially, one is that it either increases your net worth financially, or number 2, it decreases your net worth financially. So it really does matter who you hang out with and who you choose to become, your married partner or your life partner. And look, if I may just offer my personal tip, you don't have to take this on board. If you do choose to go down that route of getting married to somebody, really see it as, yep, I've done it and this is it, I'm sticking with it. Because if you choose to go the other way, which is to go down the divorce route, it can be really, really expensive. And this is not what you want to be doing in your 30s or even entering your 40s, looking to potentially perhaps break up with somebody, and therefore it costs you a lot in your life. So I might be joking about this, but this is actually such an important point about who you choose as a life partner. I've personally found that my choice of life partner, and vice versa, obviously who my wife chose, being myself, has helped us both really build our lives. Not just financially, but really build, that dream life that we've been working towards. So this will be my first financial goal for you in your 30s to aim to achieve. If you're really looking to settle down in your 30s, really do your best to find the right partner. And I can hear you probably saying to me, Ken, how do you find the right partner? I don't know, pray to the gods. I'm joking, obviously. But I'd say key tips here will be to remove unnecessary expectations. That's one thing I had to remove, in order to kind of find my life partner, my wife in my case. It's just basically just remove all the big things I had. She had to have this, she had to have that, she had to have this and this and this. I basically just put a line through all those things and really just approached it with, a very simplistic outlook on life. And that really works for me, The other thing to mention is just try and go out some more if you can. You don't tend to meet people just by staying at home. Although, of course, I know you meet people online these days. But hey, works for some people, doesn't always work for everybody. But anyway, you get the point. Marry the right partner in your 30s. Okay, so the next tip is to invest at least 20% of your net income globally. Now, I mentioned this point because you might not be aware, but when you think about globally, you think about global equities, at least 50% of the global equity, almost if you think about it as one whole, is actually in the US. At least 50% of them. And what you find is when people invest money, they have this local bias of almost just purely maybe investing in their own home country. So one thing I'd highly suggest is that you look to invest at least 20% of your net income globally. Essentially create for yourself a simple global portfolio. If you've not seen our investing playlist here on the Humble Penny, hey, come on, where have you been? Check out our investing playlist. I'll put it in the links below as well as above for you to head over there and check out our thoughts around how you can go about starting that journey of investing your money wisely. Okay, so this third one's really unusual, but I just thought I'd chuck it in there as something fun. And it is to own your own website online. Now, I mention this because you might not think of it this way, but owning your own piece of the internet is pretty much like owning land, but online. And what's very interesting when we think about land and where we kind of relate to it ordinarily is that when we think about value of land, the value is typically driven by things such as the location of the land, and then the internet world is things such as whether you have a .com domain or a .co.uk or a .org or whatever. Get a .com if you can. And the second thing that drives value might be what you build on the land. Is it just an empty car park, or have you built a block of flats that you're renting out? In the online world, it's things such as, do you have a static website, which would be the equivalent of having barren land, or do you have a website with some activity on it, such as a blog or whatever? And I'm saying this because if you are somebody in your 30s or about to get into your 30s, this could be possibly one of the best investments you could make by buying a .com, a good quality .com domain, because online websites have a thing called a domain authority. And you might not know this, but essentially some of the oldest websites are the most valuable websites. So a friend of ours, for example, has a website that he bought, a domain he bought in 2008. And that website, he barely has much going on this website. He has some activity, but guess what? It's become one of his biggest income generators because he basically rents out advertising space that generates him a monthly income on that website today. Why? Because he bought that domain a long time ago and it now has a high domain authority, which means that in the eyes of those people who are looking for, valuable land on the internet, they will consider his to be highly valuable. So I'd say to you today, this is possibly one action you can take today, like right now. If you don't already have a domain name in your own name, what are you waiting for? Head over and get a .com domain for yourself. If you've got children, I highly recommend getting one for your children as well. We've got one for our kids for their names. If you want to know where to go and get them, I'm going to put a link below and above to a place where you can grab your free domain. Literally, it's that simple. Click through, head over there and grab your free domain. But you do have to pay for your hosting, but it's actually really, really cheap. So feel free to check it out for yourself and see this as a good financial investment, but one that you can begin to make today that will be guaranteed to pay you future dividends. In a world where things are getting more digital anyway, why not take this step today? Okay, so the next goal is to focus on income maximization. Now, I mention this because your income pretty much represents your biggest wealth creation opportunity. It's the thing that will accelerate your goals and help you achieve your goals a lot faster. Now, the thing about income maximization is that many people typically don't even set goals around their incomes at all. They just assume that their incomes are just a given. But in actual fact, if you think about businesses have revenue plans, they have profit plans, and they have those plans because they are trying to hit something higher next year. And so think about your financial life in the same way. Think about your career as perhaps your big driver of income. And I find there's a very direct correlation between your level of skills, so your skill set, and your level of income. So around this time of year, if you're thinking about your maximizing your income, begin to ask yourself, what skills do I currently have and what skills do I need to acquire in order for my income to rise over time? And I find that the skills that work the most are skills that are directly related to perhaps your line of work or skills that are in demand right now. And I mention all the time on this channel this idea of acquiring digital skills, because digital skills will help you return the sort of numbers that you might not ordinarily expect in the typical way that people think about returns on their money invested. So in summary, focus on anything that maximizes your career, that gives you the best opportunity, whether it's you leaving your job and going somewhere else, or whether it's you seeking promotion in your workplace, or whether it's you retraining, whatever it is, focus on those things because they will give you higher income maximization over time. And also, in addition, focus on learning those digital skills because they will give you a hedge against your job in order to help you create a new opportunity down the line. Okay, so the next financial goal is to outsource money making to assets. That's right. Think about outsourcing your money making to assets. So ordinarily, you're obviously working and making your income from your day job. But I really like this idea of really thinking about taking the money you're making today, but actually investing it in assets instead. Why? Assets work 24/7 and 365 days per year. They're always working. It's an efficient way of generating your income and a smart thing to do. And I've seen this everywhere in my career, in my life right now, in my own personal life, even with my wife. The things that work the most is where you take money that you're making right now and always looking for a way to reinvest that into an asset so that that goes up in value over time through capital appreciation, and that generates you an income over time. Another key reason for really looking to outsource some of your income from your day job or wherever into assets is that it benefits from this power of compounding. And compounding needs time to actually happen. Another really important reason as well is that investing in assets really just introduces you to this idea that income from assets is the most efficient way for your money to be invested. And this is particularly important if you're somebody who wants to perhaps live a particular lifestyle one day. You'll find that that lifestyle is more likely to be possible if you have a big proportion of your income coming from assets instead. Next financial goal is to remove your reliance on personal debt. I can tell you right now that debt pretty much blinds a lot of people to opportunity. But one thing that's really interesting about personal debt is that the other side of the reliance on personal debt is that it helps you to then begin to create some personal wealth. By that I mean, the minute you've worked towards removing your reliance on personal debt over time and stopped borrowing from the future in order to finance today, the more likely you are over time to actually start to build some wealth. We've noticed it in our own personal lives, and we've made many videos about paying off debt on this channel. But I really want that point to sink in for you, that on the other side of reliance on debt is you actually building wealth. And I think that point is one that you can really set as a big part of your journey in your 30s, so that you can pretty much guarantee that in your 30s, you can be that person who is not just always aiming every month and living paycheck to paycheck, but that person who every month is creating a buffer through their net income, and they know that that buffer is going into assets, which will ultimately help you to build your wealth every single month. I'm going to put in the links below and above a link to a video we made about rich habits versus poor habits. Habits play a very important role in helping you actually wean yourself off debt. I'll also put in the resources below the playlist to various videos that we've created around how you can take practical steps in order to become debt-free. Okay, so the next financial goal, and this is a really practical one, is to track your financial net worth. So this is actually a really powerful KPI, a key performance indicator for you to track every single month. And I know every single person I know who is either financially independent or who has some financial security in some way has been able to track and measure their finances over time. And your net worth is a really important metric to track because it's essentially a financial selfie on one page. It's essentially the sum of all your assets less all your liabilities. But that number really says a lot, because the more you see that number going up, however small, every single month or every quarter, essentially periodically, the more it indicates that you are making the right decisions to lower your reliance on debt and to increase, almost reinvest your net income into income generating assets. If you're interested in what steps you can take to increase your net worth over time, I'm going to put some resources in the links below and above to a very detailed blog post that we created to help you really rethink your net worth and work towards tracking your net worth periodically and seeing it increase over time. So the next financial goal is to choose a money day for money conversations. Now, I mentioned this point, and we've talked about this previously in various other videos that we've created, but I want to really bring this home because the idea of a money day is very simplistic, and it comes from my previous life as a chief financial officer, working in various areas of asset management, and within my remit had a day, essentially a period called the month end, where we would essentially look at the financial position of the company, i.e. the balance sheet. In our personal world, it's our net worth, as well as look at the financial performance of the company, i.e. the P&L, or in our world, essentially our budgeting essentially. But we'd look at those two areas, position and performance, and assess where we are in relation to our goals. So in order to make this real in our lives, choose a date in your life. It could be in our personal life, it's the first day of each month. Why? Because we're then able to look at the last 30 days to see how we have performed. We ask ourselves simple questions like, where has all our income come from this month? Or, where has all our money gone this month? Simple questions like that really reveal a lot and help you over time start to spot patterns between what your expectations were about your financial goals and what your reality becomes every single month. And as soon as you've chosen that date, as I mentioned earlier, take that date and diarize it. Make it a recurring event, and every single month, show up with your partner, make yourself a cup of tea, have some biscuits, and just sit down and just talk about money. I think that's really important for helping us really not only improve our relationships with each other when it comes to money, but really just improve our relationship with money itself, which is absolutely critical for helping to just change not only our financial lives, but really to change the culture around money in this country and in the Western world generally, where we find it really strange to talk about money when in actual fact, money is one of those really important conversations that we need to have in order for us to build better relationships with money and see ourselves move forward. Okay, so my final goal for your 30s is to aim for at least 2 reliable sources of income. Now, I mention this because let's assume that your day job is one reliable source of income. I've grown up with the culture of not just relying on one source of income. It offers you a level of a safety net if you have something else. It diversifies your income in some way. Now, I'm mentioning this because one way you can look to do this is to take some of your net income. It could be a small percentage each month, could be between 1% and 5% each month, but take that percentage and reinvest it into something that will help you build capital over time. Let me explain what I mean exactly. Here I'm talking specifically about you exploring maybe a side hustle or a business of some sort. Now, you might be saying to me, oh, but what if I fail, Ken? What if this thing doesn't work out? But I'd say to you, what if you succeeded? In our society, we look at failure as such a bad thing. But what if failure became that thing that we all wanted to have, like a badge of honor to say, I failed at X, Y, and Z, and because of it, I know I will become a success one day. That's a total reframe from the way that you might think of failure ordinarily. And I recommend this idea of a second reliable source of income because it's something that can become real by exploring a side hustle that's worth your while. It might be that you invest maybe 30 minutes a day or an hour a day into something, but see it as you are building the muscle in order for you to create another reliable source of income and almost attach that reliable source of income to a future desire that you have. It might be that you are aiming for debt freedom, or it might be that you are aiming for, financial independence of some sort. But attaching that second source of income to a future goal that you desire really gives you that motivation. And I mentioned this point relating to this video about your 30s because, practically speaking, as somebody in my 30s who now has children, who's married, you suddenly have a lot of responsibilities in your 30s. And if you don't start at that age taking those leaps, taking little bits of risk, I'm not saying take a massive risk here, I'm saying just take little bits of risk, you really don't build that muscle, you don't build that momentum that's necessary for you to do much bigger things. And, if it gets too late, it really does get too late, because you don't start in your 40s becoming that person who takes risk all of a sudden. Although some people have been known to do that, it's much better if you can to start in your 30s to seek out an alternative, reliable source of income, because it's in your best interest to create that diversification to the income you get from your salary, whilst also giving you peace of mind of income from a totally different source. Guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this video today on these 9 financial goals you should achieve in your 30s. These are by no means the only goals that you might want to aim for, but looking upon my life and looking at the lives of those around me, those in their 30s at this stage of life, I've found these goals to be really game changing. And if you picked, a couple of these as goals that you might want to aim for, you will by no means look back with any form of regret. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is your #1 financial goal right now in your life? What is it you are aiming for financially? Let me know as specifically as you can in the comments. It'd be very interesting to see what we all have as financial goals at this stage of our lives. If you've really enjoyed this video, come on, hit that subscribe button, because that really just helps us to continue to grow this channel, and it gives us a lot of motivation to see that you love the work that we create. If you really like this video, I'd love for you to hit that like button as well, because that just helps this video to be promoted to so many more people. Thank you so much as ever, with much love from me and my wife Mary, and as ever, in all things, be thankful and seek joy. Take care and bye for now.